Oh, hello, ladies and gentlemen. How are you this evening? A brand new show here from me, the Road to Indy Insider. We're kind of going to get away from it. My name is Rob Howden. Thank you so much for coming to the YouTube channel. Something brand new, like I said. Of course, those of you may know my background, 25 years in North American karting. I've been doing a lot of work over the last 15 to 20 as well in open wheel Formula car racing. I had a Formula car magazine back in the day. eFormulaCarNews.com was the offshoot of eKartingNews.com, which is the website I continue to run alongside my managing editor, David Cole. But primarily when it comes to racing, I'm the voice of the Road to Indy presented by Cooper Tires, and a good chance through karting into the Road to Indy program. And then I do work as well with IndyCar Radio and the NTT IndyCar series. This show is kind of pairing with my Road to Indy Insider Live show. I use that particular platform to talk to drivers that are already on the road to Indy, USF 2000, Indy Pro 2000, or Indy Lights, and really get a chance to kind of interview the young drivers working their way up through the ranks. Maybe the first time they had a chance to do some interviews, and it really gives them a lot of experience, plus give them a chance to be in the spotlight as well. What I don't get a chance to do a lot then is talk to drivers that potentially are in karting with me, and then go to whether it's be sports cars or maybe move first over into Europe to run in British Formula Ford or F4 or F3, whatever it may be. The idea with the Book It podcast, of course, the term that I use all the time when somebody makes a pass, kind of staying with that brand, this is going to give me really the platform and the opportunity to talk to a lot more North American drivers that I haven't talked to before. We'll continue to use Book It as we do with eKartingNews.com. We're going to have some special editions that will have people in the karting industry, and not just racers in motorsports as well. We'll dive out as well. We'll talk to some people in the media. We'll talk to some maybe mechanics, some engineers, some team owners, and some series heads as well. So I'm really excited about getting this thing underway. This is the first one we've done, so thank you so much for tuning in. I do appreciate it. You can always comment below if you haven't done so. If you haven't done so, subscribe too. That'd be great. But bottom line is, comment. We'll be able to make this interactive, because I have 3 drivers coming to join me here today. And this is kind of an interesting thing. I was sitting here saying, hey, you know what? I want to get my Book It podcast going. I want to expand out from the Road to Indy to make sure we talk to more people. Right then, Team USA Scholarship comes out with their 3 selections for the 2020 season. I think myself, a lot of other people were wondering, hey, are we still going to do this? 29 years before, they've been taking young American drivers. Jeremy Shaw, the noted motorsports journalist and, of course, racing commentator as well, and a good friend of mine, has been able to rally support from some amazing people to take young drivers around the world. A lot of times it's going to be British Formula Ford. They went down and run in New Zealand in that program as well. I believe there was a time when they ran Formula Pomerati for a while. But the bottom line is some great young American talent. Number one, getting a chance to have that Team USA scholarship line on the resume, right? The prestige of being with drivers like Jimmy Vasser and Brian Herta and Joseph Newgarden and AJ Allmendinger, Dane Cameron, you can J.R. Hildebrand. You just go through the alumni from this program. It's absolutely amazing. The announcement comes out, and I'm like, this is perfect timing. I got to do this. I'm here at home. I'm on quarantine for a couple of weeks after being in the States for 9 weeks. I feel great. Just so you know, no worries. But again, Canada wanted me to quarantine. I work from home anyway, so it's business as usual. But this was a perfect opportunity to get a chance to bring these drivers on. Bryce Aron, Simon Sikes, and Jackson Lee, the 3 young drivers who have been chosen by Jeremy and his list and his group of people to be able to go racing. And the cool thing is they get to go to Europe. They get to go to the UK. Bryce is already there. We'll bring him on first. We're going to talk to each driver once, then bring them all together at the end. But they'll run the Formula Ford Festival, the legendary event at Brands Hatch. They're also going to run a national British Formula Ford race at Silverstone. That'll set things up for later in the fall, the legendary Walter Hayes Trophy at Silverstone as well. So just a good opportunity. And I think this year, these drivers are really lined up to potentially be incredibly strong to potentially go for a race win. Let's get things underway. Let's bring my first guy in. Let's bring in Bryce Aron. Let's make a change here first this way. I like the fact that I'm going to produce this myself. Let's bring Bryce Aron in.
Hello.
Bryce, how are you, bud?
Good. How about you?
I'm good. Let me just make a change here. Let's see. Can we go to that one? Hey, we can go to that one. I like it. Listen, first and foremost, thank you for joining me. Everybody else is 5 o'clock, right? You're already in the UK, so it's like 6 after 10 right now. I appreciate you. I don't know if you're staying up late, whatever it may be, but thanks for joining me. I appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me on.
Well, this is big. And you know what? I want to give people an opportunity to meet you because, you know, you did karting coming up through the ranks. You ran last year in the F1600 Championship Series. Give me a little bit of the origin story. You're from Illinois. You're 16 years old. Tell me how you got into racing.
Yeah, so it's an interesting story. My first words were "I see car," believe it or not.
Wow, I like
Yeah,
that.
so definitely living up to the expectation of trying to be a racing driver. I actually had to convince my parents to let me try karting. First, we went to K1 Speed,
Of course.
which is about 20 minutes away from my house, and
Yep.
I thought I was Michael Schumacher driving that little electric go-kart.
Yep.
So I had a lot of fun trying to do that, and then eventually, unfortunately for my parents, I started begging, "Oh, can I do outdoor karting? Can I do outdoor karting?" And after some time of more begging and pleading, I ended up moving to outdoor karting. I found a little track with my mom in Wisconsin called Badger Kart Club. So I did a lot of club racing there.
Great
Awesome
track.
awesome
Great
facility, and awesome people.
Yeah.
So did a few years there, and then I ended up moving on and doing some racing on the national level at SCUSA, WKA, USPKS.
So my question so you get into karting, you decide you want to try this. Was there a fascination for motorsports? Because you moved from karting to cars. Did you start following IndyCar, Formula One at that point?
Yeah, so part of the issue as well, like when I wanted to move to cars, is in karting I was just getting too big. I was like 6'1" in karting and junior in X30 junior, and I just remember going down the straightaways at Newcastle for a SCUSA race and just getting absolutely blown away down the straightaways because I was just too tall. And eventually,
hold on one second. You were 6'1". How tall are you right now?
I'm about 6'2" now.
Okay, this is going to easily be the tallest Team USA we've ever had, because Jackson Lee's like 6'4".
Yeah, I know, he's a big guy. Big guy.
This is awesome. Wow, this is wild. Okay, so you got essentially too big for karting. What made you start looking at Formula 1600?
So basically, really, I've always really wanted to pursue a career in motorsports. And after a little bit of success in karting, I did some research and I said, okay, well, what's the best for me to move on and get the best experience? And I ended up finding F1600 in the States, which is the Formula Race Promotions F1600, and ended up doing last year in 2019 with Cahill.
So you ran with KL Motorsports, one of the legendary teams, of course. Tell me about the transition from karts up to cars. Was it easy for you? Did you struggle with it a little bit at all?
Well, I think at first, from the aspect of racecraft, it was a little bit different. Whereas in karting, you can make aggressive moves. You use a little bit of side pod if you have to. Whereas in a car, if you try to use a little bit of side pod or a little bit of wheel, you've got two angry racers and a big crash damage bill, which is not fun.
I like that.
And I think actually, really, as soon as I got into the cars, naturally, I actually picked it up a little bit easier than I did with karting. Yeah, which I'm pretty lucky. So I really enjoyed it from the beginning. And definitely, I think throughout last year and this year, I've developed my racecraft a lot.
Bryce, I think one of the cool things about the Formula Race Promotions Series, the F1600 Championship Series, I've known those guys for a long time. Not only are you racing against some of the young guns like yourself, but there's also some really talented veteran drivers that always come and race there as well. And the racing's always super close. Did you find that you had a lot of respect from the older drivers early, or were you able to learn from them at all?
Yeah, definitely learned a lot, especially from former Team USA winner this year, Simon Sikes.
Yeah,
I got to race with him a little bit last year and learned a lot from him as well. I was able to gain a little bit of respect as well, I believe, from other drivers. I think really when you're able to run at the front and battle really hard, I think that's when you really see, okay, what can I trust this guy? Can I not trust him? And I really had some great battles with Jonathan Kotick and Josh Green last year as well.
Good guys.
And really enjoyed it. Yeah, definitely. Former Team USA winners, and they definitely showed why.
That's it, right? You follow in the footsteps now. Okay, now let's look. Now you're at F1600, right? You could have did another year there. You potentially could have jumped into the USF 2000 program, the first rung of the road dandy. You elect to go to the UK to run. Obviously, the COVID-19 pandemic kind of screws everything up because it doesn't allow you to run a full national program. There's only 3 national events there this year. What was the motivation behind, and what did your parents think about you heading over to go to the UK?
Well, initially, when we first started talking about it, it was pre-COVID. So to think of doing international racing, yes, it was tough. To think about, okay, traveling back and forth with school between the UK and the US. Yep. But I think we really thought, okay, what's the best money for value we can get? And really just looking at the British 1600 program, we thought, okay, there's a lot of experienced drivers. There's a lot of great racecraft you can see just by watching the races on YouTube. And just it's a very high level driver. And I think I found out it's definitely been a great move to do. I've learned a lot so far, and the learning curve has been absolutely excellent.
Well, the one interesting thing is if you look back at, hey, maybe you said you wanted to go to the road to Indy. I want to get to IndyCar. You got there's a couple of good examples. Joseph Newgarden happened to win a lot of races in British Formula 1600. So there's obviously a path already there for drivers who've done it before you.
Yeah, definitely. I think when I'm considering this year of what to do, I really did look, okay, who did another season in Formula Ford? I was looking, not as well, like, okay, who did the first year in Formula Fords? Where did they do it? But I also looked, okay, how many years did they do in it? Because it was going to be my second year in the Ford program. And I was really kind of making sure, okay, is this the right decision? I didn't want to move up too soon and end up, having, putting it together a budget and having kind of struggling a little bit too much.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's a learning curve each level you move up, but I wanted to make sure it's the appropriate time. So I think by looking at, Joseph Newgarden, he won Team USA, and I believe he did another season here in the UK. I was looking at some old interviews with Scott Dixon. He did 2 years of Formula Ford. So that's kind of, I thought, okay, well, if they did 2 years of Formula Ford, I think it's not a bad idea.
Right. Good for you. I'm a big fan of the 2-year program. I got a question for you here coming in from Maureen Harris. You would like to ask Bryce, how is the learning curve in the UK experience compares to the learning curve during your first year in F1600 here in the States? What's it been like going to the UK?
I feel like my first year in 1600 in America, it was really a lot about, okay, driving, how to drive a car, how to, what's the way to battle, what's just getting comfortable really in the car itself from a go-kart, just understanding, okay, this is, what passing is like, this is what the experience of like prepping for a race, even the small things you don't really think about when moving into cars. Like we're in karting, you do a practice session, throw the cart up on a stand. If you go off, I'll just take the grass out, whatever. It doesn't really matter too much. Whereas in a car, if you go off track, it could be very expensive, or you completely ruin a session. So really kind of learning the mental side of it as well. And I still am learning the mental side. And then this year, I think really the racecraft has taught me a lot as well, being able to battle at the front and, understanding how to use controlled aggression, which you notice a lot in British motorsport.
Indeed. So, okay, let's talk about this then. You're already over in the UK. You're going to run the festival. I'm not sure if you were planning on doing Walter Hayes. I assume you probably were. All of a sudden, you get the call from Jeremy Shaw. You're on Team USA. So you're going to go to these big events, the festival and the Walter Hayes Trophy, and, of course, the last national with the red, white, and blue, the Team USA scholarship, all the sponsor logos. What did that call feel like, and what's it going to feel like for you going there representing the U.S.?
Well, first off, I was getting emails from Jeremy, and we've been emailing back and forth. And to be fair to Jeremy, partially the reason why I came here in the first place was it was his idea, partially because he's saying, it's a great experience. I'd look into doing it, and I ended up looking into it, talking to Cliff Dempsey, who ended up selling the team to Andrew Lowe, who now it's been rebranded as Lowe Dempsey Racing. So after talking with Jeremy Shaw about it, I ended up saying, okay, that's what I want to do. And really, I had been emailing him for quite a bit of time, and then as it got closer and closer to when he was going to be deciding, I got an email saying, "Okay, I want to talk to you about Team USA." And the heart started beating. We scheduled to do a phone call. I was really nervous. I was just pacing my room up and down. Oh God, what's he going to say? What's he going to say? And I ended up getting a call, and then we had a little bit of small talk. And he says, "Well, do you want to be a Team USA scholarship driver this year?" And I just kind of went into shock. I was like, oh, yeah, absolutely. So, no, definitely, I was really excited. I think I was in shock for about 2 or 3 days. And then the announcement came out on a race weekend. So I was like, oh, my God,
Yeah, right.
I'm reliving it twice.
That's exactly it, right? I'm messaging you, and you're actually at the racetrack when I was messaging you, I think, at the night later in the evening. So, hey, listen, congrats on that. I'm going to drop you back into the back of the studio. We'll bring you back with all 3 guys at the end. But, man, congratulations. Thanks for joining me. Don't go anywhere there, okay?
Awesome. Thank you very much.
All right, let's drop him back. Let's bring in this guy here, folks. Jackson Lee. Jackson, how are you?
Doing
good? Listen, obviously you were in the back. You kind of listened to a lot of the questions. I'll start. We'll go into your background in a second, but I'm going to segue right off of that. Just your initial thoughts, because I know that you were part of the selection process last year, but this year, just like Bryce, you're going to be wearing the red, white, and blue. I'll ask you from the very beginning, just how does it feel to be part of Team USA?
Yeah, well, as you said, I was a part of it last year. I was just a nominee, and we all got to go to Mid-Ohio and do a bunch of different events and meet a bunch of great people who could give you good connections and be able to really, really advance your racing career. And just from that weekend alone and being a nominee, the amount of press I got and the amount of great experiences I got to help my career was just amazing. And it was a great opportunity from Jeremy. And then this year to be a part of the full scholarship and to go over to Europe and be one of the 3 drivers who are actually representing the United States. It was an amazing opportunity. And it was similar to how Bryce explained the phone call. I felt like when I got the call from Jeremy, I felt like we were talking for an hour when I was just waiting to hear, okay, am I a part of it or what's going on? But,
just tell me.
Even though it was more than probably 2 or 3 minutes, but
right.
When I heard that I was going to be a part of it, it was just, I knew that it was going to be an amazing opportunity and I was going to be able to make a lot of it and really advance my career.
You talked a bit about the selection process last year. Of course, we couldn't do it this year with COVID-19, but it's a really cool program where Jeremy brings all the nominees come, as you said, we're usually at Mid-Ohio. That's kind of the time we do it at Mid-Ohio. You get into a lot of interviews. You end up sitting in with a lot of the teams up on the box. You're listening to during an IndyCar session. You're listening on the radio. Plus, you have a couple of presentations as well. I'd like to know just how much did that change you as a young driver, really being put into the pressure cooker like that?
Honestly, that gave me a really good feeling of what I guess the professional world of racing would be like, to get into. This is how you need to represent yourself and your brands and your sponsors. And this is how and just being able to carry yourself in a way to where you can get yourself in the position to do well on the track before it even starts. And really, the amount I learned that weekend and just figuring out what I need to be able to make it to the next level, that was almost the biggest part of it. And on top of, as I said, all the connections I made, just being able to really get a taste of what I'm going to need to be able to do if I want to make it at the next level was probably the biggest part of that whole Mid-Ohio experience. Yeah,
I have to think that would have really helped kind of prepare you moving into 2020, right? The fact that the simple fact that you get put into a place where you learn so much, you get pressured a little bit, you meet a lot of great people, and then you look towards what you're going to do in the future. Let's stop there. And let's just give everybody who's watching for the first time, maybe doesn't know anything about Jackson Lee. Your father, of course, esteemed broadcaster, NBC Sports, does a lot of other sports as well, but primarily now with motorsports, working with NBC, Kevin Lee. So you have him there. You have that access to your dad and being at the racetrack. But where was it for you that you didn't go, hey, I want to be a broadcaster? You said, I want to race. What was the swap where you wanted to race and when you got into karting for the first time? Actually, you started in quarter midgets, I think, didn't you?
Correct. Yeah. Well, so my word wasn't car like Bryce's. Mine was ball. So Dad thought he was going to save a little bit of money and I was going to be a baseball player. But I think I had some other plans. But actually, a lot of my mom's side, some of my uncles and cousins on her side, they ran sprint cars and go-karts growing up. So I was maybe 5 or 6 years old, and I went to one of my cousin Sam Immel's sprint car races for the first time, and I loved it. I knew that, that's it. That's what I want to do. So, and then later I found out that he started racing quarter midgets when he was 7 years old. And the idea that I could be doing that at such a young age was just amazing.
I'm in.
So, yeah, I begged my parents, and it took a lot of convincing. Well, as much convincing as a 7-year-old can do. But
right.
They eventually let me start racing quarter midgets. And from there, I had some success in quarter midgets. I had a lot of fun, but quarter midgets, I always wanted to be an IndyCar driver. And
yep.
Their names like Ed Carpenter who come out of quarter midgets, but it's more from the go-karting side, and you need to develop that road course experience. So when I was 12 years old, I moved to racing go-karts out at Newcastle Motorsports Park, where former Team USA alums Joseph Newgarden and Connor Daly got their start. So raced out there for a while and eventually started really thinking I want to make a push at this. So got into Formula cars, ran with the Lucas Oil School of Racing. I did some testing with them. And then in 2018, I did the Lucas Oil Karts to Cars Scholarship Shootout, where I was able to do really well. I finished 4th and won myself 3 free races in the Lucas Oil Formula Car Series.
Nice. Yep.
So I ran the Lucas Oil Series, and that really got me the experience I needed, taught me how to drive a Formula car and how I can push the limits safely, but also be able to get the most out of the car. And then after that, I finished 4th in the championship, in a close championship. I think I was only 20 or so points off of the win. And then the following year moved into F1600. I had done the previous year a one-off event with Rice Race Prep at Summit Point, where I got to race against Bryce Aron for the first time.
Yep.
And that weekend kind of gave me a feeling like, okay, I think a year in these cars, I can really learn a lot. So moved in this year, ran with Rice Race Prep, and I've been having a lot of success. I've got the number 52 Tnemec car on the podium out of the last 7 races, so we've been having a lot of success.
Let's have a look. There's that hot rod right there.
Yeah, me and Simon have been going back and forth all year, and it's been a lot of fun to really learn against him and all the other competition. So it's been really great.
Yeah, I know you guys have been running with Greg Rice. Of course, Greg's been in the sport for so long, such a knowledgeable guy, loves the Formula Fords and the F1600s, and has put together a great program. So you move up there, and it's really interesting, right? The amount of stuff you learn so quickly, in the lapping days you did with Skip Barber and Lucas Oil, and then being in that Lucas Oil program, and then being thrown right in. You obviously had a lot of success at Newcastle running in karting. Very much like Bryce, you're pretty tall. So at 6'4", you're pushing a lot of air coming down the straightaway out of the I-70 hairpin. I have no doubt you had trouble in the draft. How was the transition for you, going from the kart into the car? I can't believe it's super comfortable inside that car for you.
Definitely, when I'm sitting on the grid or getting in the car, it's definitely a little bit of a pain. But actually, once I get on the track, it's not that bad. I can zone out the uncomfortableness and focus on what I need to do. But definitely moving into Formula cars, obviously I had the initial learning curve that every driver goes through, but it felt a little more comfortable with just being better fit for the cars. And in go-karts, there's the aspect of the drag, but also being so tall, I've got a lot of weight sitting up high.
Upper body weight, yeah.
The way that the kart transfers, it's just a lot more difficult to get the kart to handle how I want it to. So just getting into Formula cars in the Lucas Oil School of Racing, where it's all spec cars, just being able to really show what I can do against equal competition. And
that's really the truth, right? You got so much upper body weight outside the go-kart. When you're in the car, you've got the cockpit and the roll bars against your shoulders and the seat. So obviously a lot more stability there for you. Let's talk a little bit about the transition from Lucas Oil to the F1600 Championship Series. Obviously, Lucas Oil has a lot of young drivers like yourself learning the craft. And then you take that step up. Everybody's kind of learned a little bit. I have to believe that the level of competition, because we've seen, I'll pull a picture up here later, you and your teammate battling it out, but there's a couple of strong teams. The racing that you guys have in that particular category, man, it's just so close up front.
Yeah, there was a little bit to learn. Specifically, the tires they use in F1600s have a little bit more grip. And then it also took me a little bit to get used to the 4-speed H pattern as opposed to the paddle shifters. I admit the Lucas Oil series spoiled me a little bit with being able to push a button and I'm up.
That's true. That is true. Old school.
Greg Rice has done a really great job of inviting me into the new car and the new team and really making me feel comfortable right off the bat. And then being able to work with everyone at Rice Race and then getting to feed off of Simon's experience to really, really feel comfortable in the series quick. It was a big help working with all of them.
So you're developing, right? And you're winning races now. You and your teammate are battling back and forth. We have one shot we'll have later when we get Simon out here, and you guys can go back and forth on it, where you guys essentially cross the line together. That closer racing with your teammate and other drivers. In your mind, I'm having some success. Is Team USA coming? Is there an opportunity for me? Was that something in your mind? You're like, hey, you know what? This could be leading to where I want it to lead to.
I'll admit, I based most of this season around learning as much as I can in the low downforce cars and with the close competition, but B, trying to really set myself up for that Team USA scholarship, because just the opportunities it's provided for people have just been immense. And just to be able to call myself a Team USA driver and be able to follow in the footsteps of drivers like Joseph Newgarden, Connor Daly, Spencer Pigot, Oliver Askew.
This is it.
Just a lot of big names that I have to follow. A little bit of pressure, but
a little bit.
But I think it's helped a lot of young drivers in their careers, and I believe that it can do the same for me.
And the same in talking to Bryce, the road to Indy's your plan, right? You're trying to get the IndyCar.
Correct.
I love it. All right, listen, we got one more guy to bring in. You stay put in the back. We'll bring you back on. We're going to have everybody on, but Jackson, stay with me, okay? All right, man. We'll drop Jackson back. Let's bring on Simon Sikes. Of course, Jackson, a great young man, 18 years of age out of Avon. Let's bring essentially the oldest driver. You're still 19, for God's sakes. I can't even believe it. I got to call you the oldest driver here in this group. 19 years of age, Simon Sikes from Georgia, Atlanta. Simon, first off, congratulations on getting the Team USA nod as well. I'm sure that you were absolutely thrilled to get that phone call.
Unbelievably thrilled. But first, it's kind of funny when you say I'm the oldest driver. Oldest driver here, also the shortest by a long shot.
Apparently, that's not a hard thing to do, right? Yeah, you're not 6'4",
it's kind of crazy. I'm like 5'9". The other two are over 6 feet, so I'm staring up at them despite being older.
So, and we'll jump into your career a little bit. We've had you on the Road to Indy Insider as well, and you've had a couple of really good runs. Some at USF 2000, got a chance to do some racing there at Indy and at Mid Ohio. But let's talk first about the way things are going to shake down. The way this kind of works is that Bryce and Jackson's actually, I think, tomorrow, I think he flies to the UK. We'll talk to him about that to get over because he's going to quarantine for a couple of weeks before he goes racing for the first time. You're actually not going to go over to the UK. You have a conflict because you're going to run USF 2000 at St. Petersburg at the end of October, which is awesome. You're going to get a chance to get some other opportunities. I haven't talked to Jeremy about everything he's putting together, but you're going to get a chance to drive the Lamborghini as well, the sports cars. So your Team USA, you got it there. You're not actually going to race over the UK, but there's a lot of good stuff coming out of this for you as well.
Absolutely. I mean, Team USA has been something I've been working for years now. Yeah. I mean, I was first nominated in 2017. And so to get the call this year, 3 years after my first nomination, it's huge. It's always been something I wanted to do and just be a part of the Team USA program, despite not being able to travel to England. I wish the best for Jackson and Bryce. But it was so late in the year, and with all the conflicts this year, that it was up in the air on whether it was going to be all put together. Yep. And by the time I got the call, I had already lined up the USF 2000 for St. Petersburg, which unfortunately I won't be able to go to the UK. But I'm so thrilled to be a part of Team USA. I can't thank Jeremy enough for not giving up on me. It's been a few years, but I'm here, and I'm glad to be here.
I like that sentiment, and I'll tell you. Being able to run St. Petersburg and USF 2000 with Legacy Autosport and Maradi Autosport, that's not a consolation prize. That's awesome, right?
It is. I mean, USF's been another thing I've really been wanting to do. And 2 months ago, I couldn't have told you if I was going to race USF next year. I mean, that was completely up in the air. It's expensive to run. It's hard to find that financial funding. But I caught a break with Will Maradi helping me out hugely to put this whole deal together. So I'm thrilled to announce me on the grid full time next year in the Tires USF 2000 Championship Series.
Huge news. I love to hear. That's awesome. All right, let's quickly give us your origin story. I know you did some karting as well. Was it a family thing where the whole family loved racing, or were you like the outlier that said, "Hey, I want to go racing"?
Yeah, so I dragged my family into racing. I think I can say that.
Okay.
I feel like we all started in a similar place when we were young. I was 3 years old when I watched the movie Herbie the Love Bug. And
what? All right.
Yeah, I know. Out of all things, I said I wanted to go racing. I want to be a race car driver. And my parents said when I was old enough I could. They thought I'd be 16 with the driver's license to really start racing.
Yeah.
But I found out that I could race go-karts at the age of 5.
Little did they know, right?
Little did they know. Yeah. They held up their end of the deal. Got me a go-kart for my 5th birthday. Started racing at Barnesville, Georgia. My
legendary track. Yep.
Awesome place. Met a lot of great people. Learned a lot through the years of karting. Ran karts for 9 years. Until I was about 14, when I actually made the move to the Skip Barber Racing School in their old Skip Barber cars, which I had so much fun in. I learned so much there. I was able to really develop a racecraft, and that's where I was nominated for the Team USA scholarship for the first time. Picked up a one-off F1600 race later in 2017 after I did Skip Barber, and then I ran the full Cooper Tires USF2, not Cooper Tires. I ran the FRP F2000 Championship Series in 2018. And then I did a couple one-offs in 2019. I was trying to put an idea of what I wanted to do with racing and see how far I could get. And then I put the full ride for this year together to run the full series of F1600 with Jackson and the Rice Race Team, and it's been a blast so far. I mean, we've had awesome results all year.
Yeah, you have
great battles.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit. 6 wins, 3 podiums. You're leading the points. You said with Jackson now, not because Jackson's not going to be able to run, I think, the last 2 races, right? Because he's going to the UK. You almost had the championship locked up, anyways, with 6 fantastic wins. What a season for you! Can you just kind of put it all in like one little bit of how great it's been for you this year?
Amazing. I mean, we've come in and we've had the cars fast from the start of the weekend all the way through the end. And Greg's just given me the card and said, "Go drive, see what you can do." And we've put it, I think, out of the last 20 races I've done with Greg. I think 20. I don't know, something like that. It's something crazy. I've won 12 of them, put the car on the podium for another 5. Wow, and the other 3 were mechanical DNFs.
Okay.
So it's it's been a great year. I really did not expect it to come like
had
it
some
did.
success. Now, here's one thing you told me before, and we'll after this, I want to go into the transition from F1600 into USF 2000. But you talked about the fact that you're not going to actually be at New Jersey Motorsports Park for the next round of USF 2000. That was the way the sponsorship package put together. You were going to run St. Petersburg. Dude, you're going back to the SCCA runoff to try to win another gold medal. I think or a gold medal. I like that. That's pretty good. That's cool.
Absolutely. I mean, just keep the momentum rolling. I'm doing as much racing as I can this year. In fact, more than I've ever done in my life before. I think I'm racing every single weekend of October. So it's been a ridiculous schedule. Wow. And really, Greg Rice and Will Marotti have really put this year together for me and let me go do my thing on the track, it's really been great. And we've had some great battles in F1600, which you were mentioning. I think we had 3 of the past 4 races finish within 1,000th of a second.
That's just ridiculous. That is crazy. I love the fact you're not wrecking each other too. Now here, let's do this transition because somebody's asking a question.
Absolutely.
Five Goodfellas says, "Hey Rob, can you ask Simon how the transition was from F1600 to the USF 2000 car? How much more difficult are the top competitors?" Yeah, and listen, and you had. I'll say this right now. I'll preface this when we talk about the competition because it's so if you qualify well. You can run well, right? It's so hard to pass. And in Mid-Ohio, you can talk a little bit about that, but talk about the transition first.
It's an interesting transition. I mean, for me particularly, I didn't do a whole lot of testing. I did one test day in the USF before I went racing in Indy. And so I really had to figure a lot of stuff out throughout the weekend. The tire's different, the car's different. I mean, I'd run the old USF car in the past, but really running against this level of competition, it's pretty crazy. You really need to qualify well, stay on top of your game all weekend because it's so close. F1600, you can be a little bit off pace, use the draft, kind of float around a little bit and then get for the win at the end.
Yeah.
But I mean, I was looking at the timing from IMS and we had the entire field P1 to P20 within 9/10 of a second.
I know.
It's so close. So such good racing. I mean, there are some little technical aspects that are different in driving the car, driving styles. Not a whole lot there. I mean, you can transition pretty easily from 1600 to 2000. It's a great stepping stone, but mainly it's the competition and running at that level. You have to qualify insanely well, and you have to hold that momentum all race. You just really can't slip up at all.
All right, we got a question here from Gavin Harder. Let me just change the thing around here too, because it's kind of messy. Gavin says, after USF 2000, is Pro Mazda drive in your sights? Of course, it's now Indy Pro 2000, Gavin, not Pro Mazda. You're saying USF 2000 all next year we're talking about? Is the ultimate goal then 22 be an Indy Pro 2000?
It is. I'd really like to continue this partnership with Marotti through USF next year into Pro 2000 and see go as far as we can go. I mean, we would both like to make it to IndyCar. He wants to be an individual team owner at that level, and so we're starting at the grassroots, building from USF and working way up the ladder. Wow. So yes, that's the ultimate goal is to run Pro 2000.
There's that hot rod right there. I want to bring that out for you, man. That's a great looking race car. And of course, you hustled around at Indianapolis. Actually, really top 5 finish in race number 3. You guys leveraged race 2 to put fresh tires on. You started up front. You're running with the big dogs up front. I actually got my drive of the race from the Road to Indy Insider as well. I got to think overall, you know what? When you came in as a rookie, you'd never been to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway before, so you're learning that racetrack, learning everything there. Hadn't moved with the team before. You go to Mid-Ohio, right there, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, forward, backwards kind of thing with the racing being so close. But I think being able to start up front, you were able to – you had to be confidence for everybody. Marotti, everybody at Legacy, yourself, to realize that you could run with these guys up front. All it took is that little extra in qualifying.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a big difference from running around 10th place and really running at the front. I mean, it's a huge confident booster to run up there. And I actually got to lead my first laps in USF at the beginning of that race when it was a wet track.
Hold on though, with an outside pass outside of the carousel, and then the outside pass or outside of the keyhole, then the outside pass into 4.
Yeah, so it was. I think that was on the first lap of the race.
Yes,
and
it was.
Christian and I were battling. And he kind of, I mean, no blame to him because he really needed his points for the championship. But I mean, I'm a rookie with nothing to lose really. And I just wanted to lead. So I hooked it around the outside drove the wheels off it for a couple laps, and then figured out once the track started drying out that we really didn't have the pace to win the race, but still had the pace for a good result.
Yeah, P4 was a solid for you. Congratulations on that. All right, let's bring the rest of the guys back in here. There we go. We got all three of the guys to the Team USA scholarship. I know Jeremy Shaw would be very proud of you guys. You've acquitted yourself well so far here on the podcast, and thank you for joining me on the first one. Let's talk a little bit about what I want to go to the battle between Simon and Jackson right now, because you guys have been racing together all year. I know that Jackson's got a couple of wins. Simon, you got a couple of wins. Simon, talk about this right here a little bit. This was a race to the line for the win. I'm trying to look real close at it. It seems to me, Simon, they say they're giving it to you. That's super close, dude. That's crazy.
That's the closest finish I've ever had. Anything, hands down. I mean, I didn't even know who won. We did the podium wrong at first.
Did you? What? Really?
Yeah. So since they eventually gave it to me, we had Jackson up on the top step of the podium because they thought he had won, and it came down to a photo review an hour after the race.
Wow.
To figure out who actually won there. And I was asking on my radio, calling all the way to turn 4, who won. And they said Jackson got it by a hair. And I was a little bummed out, but it was a really close finish, and it could have gone either way. I mean, it was such incredible racing that I really think they should have just split the points there. It was such a close finish.
That's unbelievable. Jackson, what are your memories of that one?
It was a similar experience to me. I crossed the line, and obviously I had absolutely no clue who had it.
Yeah.
And it took me until probably around when I got back to the pits. I was on the radio also asking, who was it? Did I get it? Whatever. But
right.
It took almost to where I was back to the pits, probably about a minute and a half to 2 minutes later before they told me, you got it, by just barely. And I was excited. It would have been my first win of the season. Came into the pits, did the podium celebration and all that. And it was great. Mom was happy. And then everyone, all of the marshals started kind of gathering around and talking to my team, and everyone was like confused what's going on. And it took maybe another 5 minutes before someone eventually told me, no, it wasn't you. A photo, and it was just by an inch, if that.
Let's look at it. Like again, you look at it again. I can't tell. Like literally. That's crazy. I think that's awesome. I think it's amazing that you guys are able to battle back and forth like that. You know what? Let's have a look. I'll give you one thing, Jackson. You haven't had a chance to run with Low Dempsey Racing yet, but Bryce, there's your hot rod there. Tell me what it's like driving that car. It must be. It's got to be a lot of fun, but also I think that Cliff Dempsey and his wife, they're absolute legends in Formula 1600 racing internationally. Obviously in the UK, as you said, he had sold the team, and it's kind of a partnership now while they kind of get out of it. But yeah, I know you could ask anybody that's been part of Team USA. You've had the opportunity to be able to work with these guys a little bit. What are your thoughts with working with Cliff Dempsey?
Oh, I've absolutely loved every moment with it. With him and Michelle, it's been absolutely great. And my teammate Grant as well, and my other teammate Jonathan from Ireland, who won the festival last year. Learned a lot from both of them. Learned a lot from Cliff and Michelle off the track as well. I could tell you now, I could cook some really good pancakes and make some really good omelets thanks to her. She's taught me a lot.
Life skills. It's life skills.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. And I brought this up because I didn't realize how tall Bryce was. So you're 6'1", Jackson's 6'4". Easily the tallest Team USA scholarship by a margin, I would expect. What's that going to? You know what? To be honest, it might help out setup wise a little bit. You both are tall. Bryce, what kind of seat do you have in that thing? Do you have any form seat in that at all? Yeah,
we actually do have a seat in it. And to be fair, I think in the Ray chassis, it's actually not that bad of a fit at all. I preferred it actually a little bit over to Michael. It's just quite roomy. For when you first get in the car, there's these rails on the side, and you're like, oh, is this going to work? And then you actually go out and drive the car on track, and you don't notice it. Okay. Yeah, I actually fit quite well in it, so I think Jackson will fit fine.
Jackson, you're on the Mygale, right, Jackson?
Yeah, and I think the Mygale is a little bit tighter than the Ray. I know the Lucas Oil Formula Car Series uses the Ray chassis.
They have the Ray as well. Yep.
Pretty spacious. I think there might have been a little bit of modifications in those cars, but for the Mygale, for me, I don't know if I would even call it a seat. It's a little bit of a pad just under my lower back, and that's all I got.
That's all.
That's it. So
this is going to be luxury for you. This is going to be so luxurious.
It's going to be nice.
The room in here.
Yeah, I'm going to feel like I'm driving a passenger car.
What are your thoughts, Jackson, going over to a couple of tracks you haven't been on before? You're going to be able to lean on Bryce a little bit, but your thoughts on going to Brands for the first time, Silverstone for the first time?
Well, Low Dempsey Racing, they're a great team, and I feel like they'll be able to get me up to speed very quickly. And I feel like also leaning off of Bryce's experience over in Europe, I feel like it won't be too much of a challenge. It'll definitely be a little bit to get used to.
Yep.
But I think I'll have, as we mentioned earlier, I'll have a 2-week quarantine period up in Europe. So I'll have a little bit of a time to kind of familiarize myself with just being on my own for a little bit. And then I get to go figure out the race car, figure out the new team. So I think I'll be all right.
I got another question here from Andy Merrick. And Bryce, I apologize. It's going to be all over top of your face. So just
no worries.
So Andy says, Rob, for all three, when you're racing so closely wheel to wheel in F1600 for such long periods of time, what does it feel like? Is it tiring, exciting, nerve-wracking? What's that feeling like? Because I know that, it's not so much the same way in USF 2000. A lot of times it's more of a processional, right? Then you make a move. Whereas lap after lap after lap in F1600, you're 2 wide, 3 wide coming down straightaways into braking zones. Let's start, Bryce. We'll start with you because we dropped the question on top of your face. What's it like that kind of intense wheel-to-wheel action from start to finish, rather?
Yeah, definitely. I think when I found an FRP, I think the tracks are a little bit bigger, and I'm not sure what it is with the cars. I think they're a little bit wider as well. So the drafting's a little bit, I think, more essential in that series in FRP when I did it last year. And I kind of figured out, like, when I was running with Simon and running with Josh Green and Jonathan Kotick last year, I found out, like, actually throughout the race, when you're running that close and drafting that much, you kind of get used to it, and you're just kind of cycling and waiting for the last 2-3 laps to get yourself in position.
All right.
Whereas in contrary here in the UK, I feel like you fight for position no matter what. There's not too much waiting in the drafting, cycling in position. It's a lot more, you're battling, you're going for a position, you're defending, you're attacking all the time. So I'd say, yeah, it does get, you get a little bit tired, or, because you're constantly, going back and forth battling. And I feel like as well in the UK, it's quite aggressive as well. So sometimes using the nose of the car a little bit, bump drafting and doing what you have to do, but definitely enjoyable.
Well, guys, for Simon and Jackson, obviously that's some insight from Bryce there on racing in Europe. Simon, you've only done your F1600 here, not just with FRP, but also with some SCCA racing. What's your thoughts about going, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, however long the session is, wheel to wheel, 100% focus the whole time?
I honestly think that the racing might have changed a little bit last year to this year in FRP because we started off the season, and last year, it was a little processional. You just want to get to the end and then make your move for the win. This year has turned into quite the aggressive racing. We've been going wheel to wheel throughout the entire race, battling hard. Yeah. And that's where the definition of a teammate really comes in. And I've been really glad to have Jackson there because we've been doing so well working together. Okay. Like our minds are on the same waves on track. What we want to do. We'll work with each other. We'll pass each other, stall on the straight so that we can't get past. And we'll do all these kinds of tricks so that we're battling aggressively throughout the whole race. And it's really turned into a battle for position for the whole 30 minutes of the race. It's really aggressive. And the focus is getting to the end, but we're definitely fighting hard all the way through.
Jackson, would you agree with that assessment?
I would. And I want to say over the offseason, Jim Leo and Pit Fit Training has done a great job of getting me in the shape I need to be in to be able to go that 30 minutes without really getting tired physically and mentally. So I've had that as an advantage, and also having Simon there to work with and really use each other to be able to set us up to be in a position where we're 1-2 by the end of the race. So it's definitely mentally challenging to be able to stay focused and put yourself in the right position and not make any mistakes throughout the entire 30 minutes of the race. But I think we've been able to control most of the races. I think we've done a great job of being able to maximize what we can get out of each race.
I think that's a great point when you talk about fitness and how, it's going to allow you to be physically fit through the end, right? The stability, to be able to be strong and focused, but it's more the mental side that when you start losing the physical side of it, getting tired, then you lose the mental side as well. Let's cap this off, guys. Bryce, I'll come to you first. We're going to kind of essentially say what it's going to mean to you guys when you guys head to the festival and the last national and Walter Hayes. You're part of Team USA, and I was just going through some of the notes. I was looking through the guys, and we've thrown some of the names out already. But one of the coolest things I picked up on, I've actually had this in my notes at the start of the year. Last year in the Road to Indy and IndyCar, every champion, an American driver on Team USA, from Team USA. Braden Eves, of course, 2018 scholarship winner, wins USF 2000. Kyle Kirkwood and Oliver Askew, 2016 scholarship winners. They win Indy Pro and Indy Lights, respectively. Joseph Newgarden from 2008 wins an IndyCar. That's obviously got to give you a little bit of confidence. There's an ability to move forward. And, of course, with that thing on your resume, it's big. Bryce, what's it going to mean to you? Red, white, and blue. You're carrying the country's colors into some pretty iconic races in the UK.
Well, to say the least, it means the world to me. It's a dream come true. That's what it is. To be flying the red, white, and blue means a lot as well, to represent our country, especially in a difficult time of COVID. Hope we could do him proud. I got to say, thank you for Jeremy Shaw for giving us this opportunity. It's going to give, I believe it's really going to help all of us move forward in our careers and really pursue our dream of being an IndyCar.
Yeah, Jackson, let's go to you. I think any young driver, you're just looking for that, you're looking for that one thing. Maybe, I don't know if it's a sponsor, it's a supporter, but sometimes it's just a break where you get acknowledged in some way that opens other doors. As you said, you learned so much just being part of the selection, the nominees last year. This year, it's your part of Team USA. You're going to potentially have access to some of these guys who have been here before to give you guys, a little bit of input. In the end, what does it mean to you to be part of this team?
Yeah, well, Team USA has been that one big break for many drivers in the past. So I feel like, as I said earlier, this could really be an opportunity for me to expand my career. And just being able to go over to Europe and represent the United States, it's just an honor. Jeremy Shaw and all of Team USA supporters have done a great job in the past. And I'm very thankful that in the crazy year that we've been having this year, that they've worked very hard to be able to put this together. And I'm very thankful that I still get the opportunity to be a part of this, even with everything going on.
I'll ask Jackson first, then Bryce, then we'll go to Simon. Jackson, what's your expectations? What are you thinking? Is it checkers or wreckers?
I have to be confident. Top step of the podium.
That's it.
Yeah, there you go.
Book it.
Yeah, we're going to do the best we can, but I think Team USA, they've done a great job preparing their drivers. I think we'll be able to go over to Europe, and I think we'll be able to be pretty competitive.
You're going to have a car that can win, right?
Yes.
That's cool. What about you, Bryce? You've had a chance to be with the team. It must feel like the momentum and everything's just going in the right direction with this little extra bit going to the festival.
Yeah, definitely. I'm really looking forward to it. I don't really like putting too much anticipation on myself, a little bit too much pressure. I was watching a thing on Daniel Ricciardo, and he says something similar. You don't want to put too much pressure on yourself, but I'd hope to be at the front. Maybe a win, but obviously a very, 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 very tall task, to say the least.
No doubt.
But we'll be trying our best, and I think we'll be able to run at the front.
Simon, you're obviously not going to be there with the guys in the UK. You have your own race at the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg with Legacy and Maserati Autosport. You're going to get a chance to do a lot more stuff with Jeremy Shaw. Like we talked about the test with the Lamborghini, that program with US Racetronics. More to come for you. All in all, let's just summarize it for you. Your Team USA scholarship. Remember, you're going to be on that alumni list forever. You're going to get a chance to work with some really, really great guys, be part of a cool family, and then you're going USF 2000 racing this year and next year.
It's unbelievable, all of it. Really, I really am at a loss for words to what this year has meant for me.
Yeah.
It's been a rough year for all, but I feel like particularly I've come out of it with some pretty good things. Team USA, it's really amazing. I mean, I can't say enough about Jeremy Shaw and what he's done with this program.
Indeed.
And really hoping for the best for my two Team USA teammates here over in the UK. I mean, Bryce obviously running super competitive at the front there, and Jackson with awesome progression this year to really showcase his skill in the US. I think they're going to do great.
That's awesome.
Wishing the best for them.
I love it. We'll be watching for sure. Bryce, thank you so much, bud, for coming on. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having us.
Right on. Jackson, go get him, buddy.
Yep. Thank you very much, Rob.
Simon, I'll see you in St. Petersburg. Congrats on everything you've done this year.
Sounds good. I'll see you there.
All right, guys, we'll drop these guys here off. What a fantastic show that was. There it is, the first episode of my Book It podcast, and talk about three great young men. This is the thing I love about this program, and anybody working their way through the ranks. Well-spoken, great young drivers getting an opportunity. And again, you can't speak enough about what Jeremy Shaw has done for so many of these young drivers coming up. And the reason why this thing keeps going is because all the other drivers who've been part of this program keep supporting it. Jeremy's got some fantastic supporters that bring a lot of money in, Doug Mockett being one of them. If you look at the sponsorship, you go to Team USA and the scholarship.com, their website, You see the sponsors that make this thing happen, but it's all the drivers as well who've had success that continue to support the program, moving it forward. And it's just such an amazing thing for these great young drivers. Simon Sikes, we said, going to be running USF 2000 at St. Petersburg, and we're all going to make sure we follow what happens at both the Formula Ford Festival, the Walter Hayes Trophy, and the final round of the British F1600 National Series with Bryce Aron and Jackson Lee. Two great young drivers. Can't wait to see what they're able to do this year. I want to thank them for joining us here on my Book It podcast. If you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe, do a little thumbs up, more comments. I appreciate it. But you've been here for the first one. I really, really thank you for being here, supporting it. And thanks to everybody who dropped some questions as well. I know the young drivers enjoyed it. Otherwise, we're done for this edition, folks. Thank you so much. My name is Rob Howden. Book It.